Hi guys, welcome back. Today I'd like to talk about my dietary advice that I mentioned in my first talk. The diet that I champion and that a lot of patients have got a lot of benefit from is the intermittent fasting diet, which was brought into the spotlight by the late great Dr. Michael Mosley when he wrote a book called The Fast Diet. The premise of this diet is on 2 non-consecutive days, you have a limited number of calories. In my original talk, I said that was 600 calories for men and 800 calories for women. That was just my shoddy memory, as I had read the book a long time ago. It's actually 500 calories for women and 600 calories for men. It's important that these are non-consecutive days. The other 5 days, you can literally do what you want. Now, I've done this diet myself. I now do a variation of it called the 18 or 16-8, where I have all of my calories within an 8-hour period. However, given that I've started posting these videos, I've decided to go back to doing the 2 and 5. So I will be having only 600 calories on 2 non-consecutive days. And the other 5 days I'll just be eating a regular diet. Now, when you start this diet, certainly my experience when I started the diet was I was incredibly hungry on those fasting days. However, I was able to get through them because on my non-fasting day the next day, I allowed myself to eat whatever I felt like. And this is really important. One of the reasons that diets failed is because they're complicated and you are committing psychological warfare with yourself 7 days a week, and it's just a nightmare. I've experienced it myself. It's really difficult, particularly if you've got kids, financial pressure, work is busy, you get up on the wrong side of bed. I mean, there are so many things that for the average person that can interfere with your motivation to stick to something. It certainly was the case for me, and it's the reason I found this diet to be so wonderful, because it's been something I've been able to engage in long term. Because remember, at the end of the day, whatever it is that you decide to do, you need to do it up until death. It's not like do it for a few years, get into a place and then go about your business. It needs to be something simple enough that you can continue to reproduce. And I have found that to be the case with intermittent fasting. So 2 non-consecutive days. On my fasting day, as I said, when I started, I was incredibly hungry, and I just did it 1 day a week for the first couple of weeks just to get a feel for how hungry I would be. I worked out what 600 calories was, so used the internet a bit and found probably the easiest thing to do is to find canned goods that just had all things with labels on them that had the calories or kilojoules spelt out on them. So 1 calorie, so if you've got the information is in kilojoules, you need to divide that by 4.184 to work out how many calories is in it. The best thing to eat on fasting days, I've found, is probably beans. You can get 420 grams of a 4-bean mix. That'll represent about 280 calories. So if you think about it, you can have pretty much 2 of those, or for the women you might have to have a little bit less. I use it today. I'm doing a fasting day today, so I've got a box. Actually, I'll show it to you. So here you go. All right. So this is a mix of a 420 gram can of 4-bean mix and a 420 gram can of black beans, and I have just splashed a little bit of olive oil and put a bit of salt and pepper on it, and I will eat that late in the day. On your fasting days, you can take those calories however you want. You can spread it out across a few meals or have it just as 1 meal at the end of the day or first thing in the morning. It's up to you. Personally, having experimented with it, I found that if I had say 2 smaller meals or 3 smaller meals, the second I ate that first small meal, I became incredibly hungry. However, if I just put off eating to as late in the day as possible, I generally found I was pretty good. I would drink black tea or coffee, drink lots of water, and then you know, at certain stage of the day, I'd be really hungry, and then maybe 4:30, 5 o'clock, I would have all my calories in one meal. I find beans to be great because you can have a large volume for not many calories. They've got a low GI, so they take a bit to digest, and they give you a feeling of fullness. This is important because certainly when you start the diet, you will find you'll be very hungry, and you may find it difficult to sleep because you will feel so hungry. I certainly did. However, I was able to get through those first few weeks because on my fasting days, I'm lying in bed thinking, oh God, if I don't eat soon, I'm going to die. And I'd think, well, no, I'm not. And tomorrow, I'm going to let myself eat whatever it is that I want. And it's really important that you do that. Release that psychological burden of trying to be good 7 days a week. Truly, believe me. There's a great documentary that Michael Mosley did where he went to the United States and went to a few universities who were studying this fasting stuff. And, you know, they all said to him the same thing. On your non-fasting days, they tell patients to eat really what they feel like eating, particularly after the fasting day. What they found was that despite doing that, overall you ate less and you continued to lose weight. My personal experience was aligned with that, so I found that yes, I did continue to lose weight. I mean, I can't judge whether overall I ate less. I don't know. There's no real way for me to have quantified that, but I certainly continued to lose weight. But most importantly, and this is the thing I really want you to grasp, is that within a few weeks, maybe 3 or 4 weeks of doing it, my desire to smash food on my non-fasting days just went away. Not because I was trying to be good, it just went away. And consequently, I was then able to just engage with a pretty normal diet. However, if I felt like eating a lot of something or junk food or whatever, I just would, okay? Because my focus is just execute that on those 2 days. Now, the key to longevity with dieting is relieving you from psychological burden, I believe. I think that's why most diets fail. You're having a terrible day and you think, I just can't do this today, and then you throw it out the window and you don't do it, and then you feel enormously guilty and very anxious, and you think, oh, it's just all too hard, and you throw the whole thing out the window. With intermittent fasting, you might find on a fasting day you wake up and you are not feeling great. Oh, I can't do fasting today. That's fine. Don't do it that day. Just do it one day that week. The beauty of that is, and I've experienced this, is that you might later in the week just make another day your fasting day just for that week, or you might just do it for one day that week, and then the following week you're sort of back on track. It's not difficult because it's just those 2 days. So in my mind, it never occupied this, you know, this treadmill of trying to do something all the time. You just really need to execute it over that short period of time. Not only will you lose weight, but you know, your inflammatory markers will go down. It'll improve your cholesterol and your sugar metabolism. And you can go to town on reading about this stuff. Really, what I am just trying to do is I'm trying to provide you with a simple behaviour that you can engage with that will help you lose weight and be healthy. And if fasting just is something you just cannot do, then the CSIRO diet is also a diet that I have championed and patients have got some benefit from. I like the CSIRO diet because it doesn't really eliminate any foods. It's prescriptive, meaning that it tells you, what to buy at the shops. It gives you, meal plans for weeks. And the main thing it gets you to do is to weigh your food, so you get into a habit of making sure that your portions are correct. And really, that's what it's about. Just enabling you to work out what a good portion is. So it takes a lot of the thinking out of it. And I think once people get into a habit with that, having some scales on their bench in the kitchen, things become much easier. So that is another option to explore if fasting is not for you. I just found in my busy, chaotic life with kids, and I could just look after myself just by doing this fasting. Now, on the topic of the other 5 days and with regards to having a healthy diet, once your desire to smash dodgy food goes away, which it will over 4 or 5 weeks, the key to a healthy diet, really, I think, simply, is to just follow the advice on how to look after your microbiome, which is eat 30 plants a week. You can go to zoe.com and have a read about the breakdown of that. 30 plants sounds like a lot, but really it isn't. It includes nuts and seeds and herbs and beans and fruit and vegetables. So for example, if you went and got a seed and nut mix from your supermarket, it might have 6 or 7 different things in it, and then you got yourself a packet salad, which might have 4 or 5 different things in it, and then you got a can of 4-bean mix. Well, you could have as a snack, grab a handful of that nut and seed mix, and you've had 6 things. You could then open a packet of salad and drop it into a bowl, open your tin of 4 beans, drain it, put that into the bowl, add a bit of salt and pepper, lemon juice, a little bit of olive oil, mix that up and eat it. And in the space of a meal and a snack, you've had probably about 15 different plants. The idea of the 30 plants a week is not that you have to eat 30 plants a day. It's just that over the period of 7 days, you have to expose your gut to 30 different plants. Now, I think that if you start to engage with that, to look after your gut, what you'll find is that your diet overall will just improve. And if you eat a large volume of vegetables, that tends to fill you up, and it certainly gives you. And it looks after your guts. You don't feel bloated and horrible. Because it fills you up, you're not chasing bread and more processed carbohydrates where you might be looking to sort of flesh out your protein intake. And it's also, once again, very simple to do. If you want to really double down on it, you can write down a list of every plant you can think of that you could consume, and then just make sure you get through 30 of them each week. So that makes it uncomplicated. The reason I am so passionate about this talk that I originally was asked to do, and the reason I've made this effort to make these YouTube videos, is because I think there is a lot of information out there with regards to health, and all of it is excellent, well researched, and there's like a million different ways to skin the cat around mental health, physical health, be that with exercise, movement, and diet. But for the average person, it is a very confusing landscape, and if you are tired, overworked, and underpaid, and your kids are complaining every day, it's very difficult to turn up every day and engage with some positive behaviours. I've lived that life. I have 3 children under 3.5. I went through a divorce. I've been under huge financial pressure during my life. And yet once I began to put these behaviours into my life, I've been able to stick with them. And they've proved to be greatly beneficial to me. And if I'm having a not so great day, I look forward to meditation. I do my 20 minutes of meditating. It's magnificent. I do my mirror work, which takes me a couple of minutes and is easy to do. If it's a fasting day, well, once again, I can kick that goal. I look forward to the meal later on. I'm not chasing food. I aim to walk 3 to 5 hours a week. I like to run, so I've sort of added that in, but as I explained to you, develop a walking routine. You walked into the room, you're going to walk out of the room, you're going to walk to your car. That just has to add up to 3 to 5 hours a week. Once you've established a walking routine for yourself, then you might want to add in a little bit of running. This is how I got into it. 10 years ago, I would have said I'd rather whip myself with a cat of 9 tails than get into running. However, running is one of my favourite things to do now. So you can establish that routine for yourself. With regards to building muscles, you need to lift weights at least a couple of times a week. With regards to, I lift weights 3 times a week, and I have got 2 different routines that I use. And my next couple of videos, I'm going to try and work out how to film myself going through that program. So, you've got something you can follow yourself. I've been giving some thought to how I might be able to do that at home. I go to the gym, but I also have a whole weight set up at home, and that may be something which is helpful because having time and the expense of going to the gym for a lot of people is problematic. So I'll give that some thought, and hopefully I can execute that in my next few videos. With regards to looking after yourself physically, I'll give a shout out to my daughter, Jemima Hatherley. You can look her up on Instagram. She started her own personal training type business at age 20, which is pretty cool. I'm very proud of her and all that she's sort of doing in that space. So you can find her on Instagram, and I think the target audience for her is probably a bit different to the target audience for me, but I just thought I'd give her a shout out because I'm really proud of what she's doing. Just remember, guys, I'm a doctor, but I'm also just a normal human being, and I've struggled with mood and weight all of my life. The behaviours that I have found that have helped me immensely are just things that I think are there for everyone. The key to health is abundance. All of you have the power to have good mental and physical health, and there are just, I think, a certain simple set of behaviours you can engage with that will ultimately put you in a place where you can have a long and happy life. And once you engage with those behaviours, I think what you'll find, as it has been for me, then a lot of the excesses of your life will fall away. So your need for lots of caffeine or alcohol, or if you smoke or you do other things to try and tap out, they'll just fall away because you'll find yourself in a better physical and mental space. But it's an absolute pleasure sharing this with you, and I hope you guys get something out of it. All right, have a great day. Ciao.